hey, you're here. I'll catch up with you. Sorry, I'm just on my way out, but your workstation's at the back over there. It should be all set up on the network, but let the guys know if it isn't. From there, you can access all the data you need to help us direct development of the car. Get yourself settled, and then head out to practice when you're ready. I'll catch up with you later, okay?
Welcome to your new team. Toro Rosso are famed for nurturing promising talent and kickstarting the careers of exciting drivers, from Vettel to Sainz to Ricciardo. But they're much more than that. This is a strong team that expects regular points finishes.
How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the F1 2019 Career Mode. We are currently at the start of the new F1 season, about to race in our first F1 race for Toro Rosso in Australia. It's definitely going to be interesting, that's for sure. And as you could probably see there, my teammate is now Alexander Albon. So that means that I've come in and replaced Danny Kvyat. In fact, no, I haven't even replaced him because he won't have even joined at this point. They will have called him into the office and been like, oh, hey, Danny, we want you to drive for us. And then a couple of days later, they'll be like, actually, this Lawrence kid looks alright. Let's take him instead. Screw Danny again. We don't need Danny. And as you can see, I've gone straight into Tree to purchase some upgrades. As you can see, we are the worst on the grid in terms of engine, so I decided straight away to go in and buy an engine upgrade, and I want my steering, man, so I decided to purchase some downforce upgrade, well, one downforce upgrade, because that's all we could afford. I know buying upgrades is not the greatest thing to do before you've even driven the car, but I need my steering, and of course, if the engine's the worst on the grid, then we need to look to improve it as soon as possible, so that's why I bought them before I even drove. But basically, how this is going to really work on the video is, I'm not going to show you much of practice, only if I ramble on at the start of the video. So I'm just going to jump straight into qualifying, I guess, as we go into short qualifying, of course. So that means I think it's 18-minute long session, just one session, and yeah, it means everyone on the grid takes part. So let's jump into qualifying.
We're just about ready to kick off today's qualifying here in Melbourne. It's the Australian Grand Prix. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily. It's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap.
So, as you can see then, we are on our first flying lap in short qualifying, and what I tend to do in this short qualifying is I do a flying lap right at the start of the session, so I've got a clear track, and just setting sort of a banker lap almost, just so I can you know, just set a time really, and hope that it's good enough really. And then I go out towards the end of the session. I know there are a lot more cars on track at that time, but it means I can end the session on the track and avoid any sort of simulation sort of glitch, because in F1 2018 there was a glitch where if you skipped to the end, if you like, because you can skip time and make it go fast, if you skip to the end, everyone would suddenly gain like a second, so you'd always end up like quite far behind. You know, for example, if you're in a Mercedes and you set the fastest time and you just thought, you know what, I'll skip to the end, you'd skip all the way to the end, and then suddenly you'd be in P12 or something because everyone had gained a second on you. So it was really frustrating. So to make sure that didn't happen, I'd go out right at the end and make sure the qualifying would end whilst I was out on the track. And also there's the fact that there's a lot more cars out on track as well, means that I could possibly get a slipstream off someone perhaps. But I'm very proud of myself here because I managed to do a flying lap without having to do a single flashback. Because I'm not very good at qualifying. Qualifying is definitely not my strong point, but we crossed the line here, and we're going to end up in P9, just behind our teammate Alex Albon, and then we drop a place each because we're both not very fast. And as we head out for our second lap on a new set of soft tyres, you can see I've dropped all the way down to P20, so last place. Obviously my time was not very fast, and even Robert Kubica and George Russell are ahead of me, which is a bit frustrating because that's not where I want to qualify in a Toro Rosso. Even though we've got the worst engine on the grid, we're still better than Williams in terms of an overall sort of car. So, because Williams has the worst overall car on the grid, but they definitely do not have the worst engine. They are rocket on the straights, that's for sure. So I need to put in a decent lap time here to you know, get any sort of position, because like I said before, qualifying isn't really my strong point. I tend to kind of do really crap at qualifying and then do all my business in the race, to be honest. Come across the line, it's only going to be good enough for P18, so we've jumped both the Williams, but that's it. And I try and go on another flying lap, but Lucas Weber actually compromises it, so that means that unfortunately we're going to be starting our first race in F1 P18 on the grid. So yeah, it's not the greatest of starts, but let's see if we can make up for it in the race.
New drivers, new cars, it's a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that plays host to round 1 of a 21-race championship that takes us from here in Australia across the globe and the eventual season finale at the Yas Island circuit in Abu Dhabi. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. We have plenty of changes to the sport this year with tweaks to the regulations, a fresh looking spread of tyre compounds and of course some changes to the roster of car manufacturers. It's goodbye to Sauber and hello once again to the classic name of Alfa Romeo in Formula One. It's also goodbye to Force India. They've been rebranded as Racing Point. Joining me to take you through all the action of the 2019 Formula One season is Anthony Davidson. And it's great to have you with us.
Thanks, Crofty. Always happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to getting underway. Last year was Mercedes' 5th Constructors' title in a row, although for the first half of the season it was absolutely neck and neck with the Ferraris. Hopefully this year we can see the chasing pack take that final step, as I'd love to see a championship contest all the way up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Another story to keep an eye on is the performance of Red Bull, who have switched to the Honda power unit this year. What that will mean for both their performance and reliability remains to be seen.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Gasly, Perez, Grosjean, Magnussen, and Devon Butler, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, and Norris, Weber, Raikkonen, Alexander Albon, and Lawrence, Kubica, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So as you can see there, our F2 rivals, Devon Butler is in 10th driving for McLaren and Lucas Weber is in 15th driving for Alfa Romeo. So they are the two teams that those two have chosen. As you can see, it's just going to be a simple one-stop race. I did try and customise them to see if I could get them any faster, but this time round I just went with what the race engineers told me to do, because, well, that was the fastest way to do it. So as you can see, I'm just swapping them around a bit, just seeing if I can get anything different to maybe try and go for medium tyres first instead of soft to medium, but in the end I just stuck with what they told me to do, and that is to pit around lap 7-ish time. I also bring the fuel down just a little bit because I want to have enough fuel to use rich mix, but at the same time not really overfuel the car so much that it's going to be too heavy. So here we go then, the first race of the F1 season. So as the 5 red lights illuminate, we are ready and we are underway in the Australian Grand Prix. As you can see there, the start jumped a little bit. I did have to flash back as I absolutely overshot it into turn 1 the first time round, but this was my second attempt, and as you can see, I went down the inside of Raikkonen, and also I don't remember who the other car was. I think it was Carlos Sainz, the other car that I went inside, or it might have been Giovinazzi, I'm not too sure, but I went just up the backside of Lando Norris, and as you can see, we get right up the backside of our teammate Albon, and we send it down the inside of him and Lando Norris, and we end up getting past both of them and up to P14. So it's been an excellent first lap for us so far. We've gained 4 positions, having started P18 on the grid, and now we're getting right at the back of the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo, but as you can see he's going to get away from us, and we now have Lando Norris trying to catch up to us behind us, and he just can't do it. But now we're in lap 5 and we've got Albon going down our left and Norris going down our right with 3 wide going into turn 1. We get contact from Norris, and Norris and Albon have crashed into each other on turn 1. They've also held up both of the Williams and the Alfa Romeos as well. Albon's come out of it. Norris is still there at turn 1. So both of them had DRS on me. They both tried to get past me. I was in the middle of the sandwich, and in the end they both tried to get into turn 1 at the same time, and in the end they both crashed into each other. As we look at the replay now, and as you can see, we're 3 wide going into turn 1. Norris just doesn't turn, he has a bit of understeer, and it looks like in the end I turned into him a little bit, and then he gets punted by Williams just for good measure. So we turned into turn 1, and Norris spun round after making contact with us, and in the end, yeah, he just ruined his own race really by doing that. End of lap 6, as you can see, we come in for our one and only pit stop for this race. Of course, this is nearly 2 laps after that incident, as that incident happened at the start of lap 5, but we come in for our one and only pit stop. We're going to put on a set of medium tyres, as we're currently on the softs, and as you can see, we come out in P19. Robert Kubica is so far behind. I don't know what happened to him. I'm guessing he's the one that crashed into Norris during that incident, but look, he's so far behind. Norris has gone past us, but Robert Kubica must have had to pit because he is so far behind that it's ridiculous. We're now at the start of lap 8, and as you can see, there's yellow flags up ahead, and there's been a massive crash there, and Devon Butler is out of the session. Both McLarens involved, Devon Butler and Lando Norris both there. And we only have 19 runners now in this Grand Prix, as Devon Butler has now out of the session, and so is Sebastian Vettel as well. But I don't think Vettel was involved in that accident. So we came up to turn 1, there was about a 5-car pile-up there, and this is Daniel Ricciardo with no front wing. So God knows what's happened to his front wing there. That is us behind him, catching up to him. And as you can see, he can't turn the car, basically, because he's got no front wing. So we go down the inside and make the move stick. There is Sebastian Vettel parked up at the sides of the road there. But Ricciardo does try and make a move back on us, because even though he's got no front wing, he can still go down the straights fairly simply. But in the end, he has to slow down as he's got another corner coming up. So we get ahead of him, and all is fine and dandy. But we're now going to have another look at this crash, and it starts off with Lewis Hamilton coming out the pits, and Charles Leclerc goes past him and spins him round, and Lewis Hamilton is just stopped on the track there. Pierre Gasly stops to allow Lewis Hamilton to get back on track. A Racing Point stops behind him, and then a Haas drives into the Racing Point. There's Daniel Ricciardo, and Devon Butler just smashes into the backside of Daniel Ricciardo there and puts himself out of the race. Lando Norris even further behind, and leaves Daniel Ricciardo without a front wing, and Lewis Hamilton gets away with it. And whilst all of that was happening, Sebastian Vettel's engine just gave up on him. As you can see, there's smoke coming out the back of his car, and he is driving very, very slowly. There's Charles Leclerc behind him, and Sebastian Vettel ends up going out of the race, just quite coincidentally at the same time as a massive accident. That is Lewis Hamilton as well, just behind Leclerc, I think. Or it might be Bottas, I'm not too sure. We now move on to lap 9, and as you can see, we've got a teammate, Alexander Albon, right up the back of us. He's gone to the side of us there, trying to make a move into the chicane. He couldn't quite make it, and we get away with it there, but as you can see, he's not letting go. He's still right behind us there, looking to try and make a move. Down the inside, I turn in, and we do make contact. He nearly spins us round. I correct it quickly. This battle allows George Russell and the Williams to get past us. We take it onto the gravel, and Albon is now stopped on track. He has crashed into us and damaged his car, which I find absolutely amazing. So not only has Norris damaged his car by crashing into us, but so has my own teammate Alex Albon, and he actually pits in this lap, as you see in a second. It's just like, I don't know, why does everyone just want to crash into me? As you can see at turn 1 now, there's plenty of debris, but it's just not been cleared up. But now we move on to lap 12, so 2 laps later, and we have closed up to the back of Magnussen fairly quickly. We have caught up to him at a rate of knots. and we're now right up the back of him, just trying to find an opportunity to possibly overtake him, and we see that opportunity as we go up the inside of him there. We sort of cut the corner, we push him off the track slightly. Surprised we didn't get any sort of penalty or even warning for that, but Magnussen's going to come back up alongside us and he's going super aggressive. He's going to drive it into the wall. Look, he's hitting us it towards the wall, and I panicked a little bit. I broke way later than him and ended up going down the inside of the bollard, so still cutting the corner again. But again, no warning for cutting the corner, and we get ahead of Magnus. Really impressive. But now we're on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, and as you see, we're now quite a way ahead. Raikkonen is the next car behind us, and Charles Leclerc is the one that wins the Grand Prix for Ferrari. Last lap, and as you can see, we're going around the final corner, and Kimi Raikkonen's close right up to the back of us. He's surely not going to pass us on the final straight, is he? As we go around the final corner, Kimi Raikkonen's right up the back of us. He's not going to catch us though, and we come home in our first F1 race in P12.
Race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So as you can see then, these are the final standings. Charles Leclerc won the Grand Prix ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton got a 10-second penalty in the end for two different offences. One of them will have been, obviously, being part of that crash earlier on in the race. I don't know where the other one will have come from. But either way, he would have finished in third, but ended up finishing fourth. As you see further down, George Russell finished ahead of us, and our teammate Alex Albon finished in 17th. And that is what causes us to start losing our rivalry with Alexander Albon. We're 1 point behind him at the moment. We get a few decent R&D points for that race. Somehow we got 100% clean lap. It's clean race. I don't know how we did that. We end up with 841, and we get recommended the rear downforce upgrades in the aero department, which I purchased because that means we have both front and rear downforce upgrades for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And yeah, it's not gonna take us above McLaren, but it's definitely gonna get us there, or closer to McLaren anyway. But that is going to be the end of this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more, and of course if you don't want to miss a video, then hit that little bell next to the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time that I upload. Guys, until next time, thanks so much for watching. Peace.